So we're on submarine this time, and yeah, playing best of 5, and it's ICRedd that's now 2 up. Whoops. So KernelPanic needs to stop the rot, essentially. I wonder, will he be tempted to just go balls to the wall and crack out the mad proxy zealot push? We have seen ICRedd scout for it, but the scouting hasn't necessarily been absolutely rigorous. Even if he doesn't go for the proxy, you could always go for the 2-get, 2-get Cyb, 3rd-get, Twilight, and just move across the map with sort of 12 to 16 charge zealots as early as you can possibly crank them out. I'd be interested to see how that would go, whether or not ICRedd would be ready for it. There is a chance he would be. On the other hand, that'd be a pretty ballsy thing to do when you're 2-0 down. Playing safe is the more likely option. On the flip side, I wouldn't mind seeing ICRedd crack out a bit of a cheese build. You're 2 games up. What have you got to lose? You'll still be in the lead if it all goes horribly. So I wouldn't mind seeing him try something. And this probe has been seen on the way in, pretty sure. He drops a Nexus straight in. He's going to drop a Nexus. So what you can do here, the probe's around. He's going to kill it, so doesn't have to worry. Got the cancel down, so that's cost him 100. But look what it's costing KernelPanic while these workers are still not mining. Might have over responded to that a little bit. I don't mind getting the surround and killing it, but you do need workers mining. And look, again, in the production tab, no workers building for KernelPanic. That's going to be problematic in the long run. He's concentrating on zealots rather than workers. And zealots, other than a big cheese, which isn't happening here, these like 2 early zealots, they're not going to win you the game. They're not going to do anything really for you. All they are doing is slowing down worker production, and they're slowing down your expo. So, despite having thrown 100 away on an attempted proxy nexus, ICRedd's natural is it's halfway done already. The proxy nexus, what you can do with that, if it does finish, you can use the recall ability to just recall units from your home base into your opponent's base. So you can have a handful of units at home and you can recall them in and go to work, recall in a few workers as well. So you can get those extra worker shots, and additionally you can go ahead and throw down a pylon and a shield battery. Once you've got the shield battery done with the Nexus, things can turn nasty, because if it goes unseen and the Nexus has enough energy, the battery overcharge just means your stuff isn't going to die. But the chances of getting away with it are pretty slim. So the worker for KernelPanic that's a quite a neat little place to hide, isn't it? If you've got him and hold command. Any unit going past on an A click, the unit itself would see it, but the other player won't. It's pretty well hidden there. That's kind of neat. I like it. So it comes in, sees that there's an adept, sees this, and possibly got a chance to see how many workers were mining, so he'll get an idea of the timing of that. Double cannon up here, I don't really understand. Shield battery down here, cannon, if you really are worried and want to play defensive. Double cannon up on the high ground, not so sure. The 2 adepts are going to come across the map here. They can ignore this and shed past it, but he has got a stalker. Now adepts, don't really worry about zealots unless they've got charged. Even then, adepts don't really worry about zealots. But the stalkers can trade. Don't stand still though. The stalkers can trade very effectively against these adepts. He's going to finish the shed here and should be able to get at least 2 or 3 workers here. He wants to start the next shed before, as soon as the cooldown is finished, you start the next shed. That's how you do it. Even if you're going to cancel it, you start it. So ideally, you start that a bit sooner, so that you shed them right the way up into this mineral line, and you start shift clicking and you start your shed now down to here. Is what you want to do. But to be honest, these are all great kills. I mean, just ignore the zealots, focused on these workers. 2 adepts, 1 shot a worker. So you know, you can I mean, that's already done everything that it needed to do. Look, 7 workers killed, and look at the deficit. 20 worker lead is massive at the 5-minute mark in a game. And again, KernelPanic, you know, you're only building 1 worker from why aren't we building workers just constantly with the workers? You've got plenty of chrono boost saved up as well. You should be chronoing out these workers. So it's going to be air from ICRedd. We've got the fleet beacon coming down. Wouldn't mind seeing the air upgrades start to be researched as well, because they can make quite a big difference to the longevity of your stuff. You know, the +1 armor on an oracle just makes it a bit more resistant to stalker shots. This is so painful. Such a lit pull on these workers, and you know, 9 kills. Don't stand there. Yeah, that's bad. But like, it just doesn't matter. You know, if somebody said to me, I'll swap you 10 kills for an oracle, you'd be like, yeah, take my oracle, tick. I'll do that all day long. So now the deficit is just absolutely huge. 45 workers to 15. It's very hard to see how KernelPanic can come back from here. You know, normally at this point the sort of Hail Mary is a Dark Shrine. It's the only thing that can get you back into the game. And interestingly, there is absolutely no detection here. There's no robo, there's no forge for cannons, and the oracle died. So you know, a couple of DTs could actually, it's the only thing that I can think of that could possibly save KernelPanic right now. You know, still this production tab, no workers. You know what I mean? Still. 1 at a time you're building them, but look, 7 and 7, you know, these need to be chronoing out. It needs to be your #1 priority to get your worker count back up after you've lost so many. Otherwise, you know, whatever's going to turn up is just absolutely going to crush, because you know, look at the bank here from ICRedd. Once he gets his acting gear and spends that, you know, I would suggest that he can afford to. You've got 3 bases, you can afford more than 2 Stargates. You could be up to 5 Stargates if that's what you're going to play, or you could certainly go ahead and drop a lot of gateways. Generally, if I'm playing air, I drop a healthy sprinkling of gateways as I go. Make sure you get the Twilight, research charge, because air is gas intensive and you always end up with a mineral bank. So it's really nice to be able to just dump the minerals into charged zealots, and you can just essentially suicide those across the map. Your army is all about the gas, so you don't really mind losing those zealots. You can send them across the map and just try and focus down a nexus, or you know, deny an expo. This is brave. KernelPanic deciding to move out, and you know, the army supplies aren't massively different, but in terms of the quality of the army, there's going to be a lot of void rays showing up, and I don't think there's blink. There's no +1. The air for ICRedd has got +1. Looks like maybe he wants to hide it for the time being. I don't know why he doesn't just go and fight this. You know, look how many gateways he's got. Like, he could just warp in a handful of zealots, and like I don't know why he didn't just go and fight that. The recall home. So you know, that was a bit weird. I don't really understand what went on there. Why ICRedd decided to abandon that base and not fight. Anyway, that's what he's done. So that is helpful, and will potentially keep, or at least it would keep KernelPanic in the game if only he would bloody build some workers. You know, long gaps between worker production. Look, this is still only on 9 and 11, and it was a long while ago when I said it was 7-7. These could both be saturated a long time ago, and the third could be up and mining, and you'd still have the same number of stalkers. You've just got to bloody build the workers. Come on, man. So shield batteries coming down. I don't think KernelPanic knows about the air. So maybe that was the reason ICRedd didn't want to fight. Thought, I'll lose 400 minerals in the Nexus. I've got a reasonable bank. I've got a base over here. I think it was in production at the time, so not too concerned. It needs to just transfer. These workers should be mining from here instead of long ranging it, but nothing too deadly. Could do with a bit of housekeeping, transferring workers and stuff here, but yeah, still only 2 Stargates. Not really, if you're going this air heavy, his entire army is pretty much air. I don't really know why you wouldn't just build a few more Stargates. Anyway, KernelPanic. I don't know what you're going to do here that's going to win you this game. It's going to be very difficult. He doesn't have blink for these stalkers, and that's a shame, because you could poke in here and blink up into the men, get some work done, and then run away. But I don't think you're ever going to get that opportunity. Oh no, the stalker's even on a move command, not even fighting. So once they turn and fight, you can see that they almost had enough numbers to one-shot a Void Ray, but not. And so that just looked hideously one-sided. Above the shield batteries, it is not where ICRedd wants to fight, and he can of course just fly around the back into this location. He doesn't have to take this fight. To be honest though, I think there's enough here to just brute force it. All these batteries are run off 2 pylons. I think he can just come in up top, and I just don't think it's going to matter. There's just too much here. It's 84 army supply to 34. It's 78 workers to 38. It is just GG. There's no way this small band of stalkers is killing this much carrier. It just isn't. So yeah, mistakes were made, mostly in terms of the production of workers. Obviously KernelPanic did lose quite a few workers, but losing the workers is bad, but you would have been fine if he'd have been rebuilding them as quickly as he could, but he didn't. So in the end, ICRedd goes 3-0. GG.